All right, this is a biggie. I told you we're going to go through some big changes. I'm going to guide you to at least consider a few things that will impact your entire life from this moment forward. Oh, oops, yeah. But it's your choice. There's a huge decision to make. A huge decision, especially right now. And ongoing, but especially right now. Are you ready to make a big decision? I'm going to tell you what it is and tell you why your entire future rests on this one decision. Let's go. Welcome to Landria. Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an amazing life. You think you know what that decision is? It's not quite probably what you're thinking. I'm going to ask you to please subscribe. If you subscribe, you support my channel that is going to empower you, help you to move past fear. And those of you who make comments on my channel, please make sure you watch the entire video before you do that. I can tell when you don't, or you see a title and you think you know what it's about. I will always empower you to take action, to make your own choices, not to try and change anyone else, judge, or go into conflict or separation, but to take action. Somebody said that we're just stepping back by being the meek. No, the meek are taking action right now in a big way. We're just not the big loudmouth that you hear out there that says this is how things should be. We are in peace and compassion, taking action over here to create the new world. But there's something right now that drives that. Now, when you go into awakened state, what happens? If you guys have purchased my book and read it, I actually tell you what's required in order to go into that high frequency, and it is a requirement. Choice, but a requirement if that's what you choose. When you go into high frequency, you have fewer questions. You don't have to know anything. I call it the knowing. The knowing is actually when you stop asking questions. You don't have to, because only the ego thinks it has to have a right or a wrong, or this is how things are. Everything is true, because the one is everything. So the one is all that you see, from the light to the darkness. That's a tough one, and that brings me to my subject matter today. What's the big decision? The big decision right now can, depending on which choice you make, can transform you into something so unlimited, it'll blow your mind. Things that will occur in your life that you never thought possible can start happening. When you go into the knowing, that means you release all limitations, right and wrong, separation, having to judge or point fingers, blame. All of it's gone. That's total awakening. What does that mean? And what does that mean when we talk about today's subject, and that is the big decision? The big decision is the total release of what you thought was right or wrong. It's a total release. Because what I'm seeing out there is when we make up our mind about certain things, situations, people, religions, cultures, all these things, we actually go into judgment and we separate ourselves. When you go into the big decision to go into the knowing, the big decision, going into the knowing means you release all of those rules. It isn't that way. It isn't that way. They aren't right and they're wrong. Everyone just has an opinion. It's not to be judged. When you release everything that you have believed and thought, and you don't have to choose another side or another opinion, you don't have to go into that at all. The knowing is all of it exists and all of it is right for whomever chooses it. If somebody chooses something, it's right for them. And we are all one source, so it is right. To say it's wrong is your ego having to take a side and thinking that what you believe is right. And so that's equally conflict and separation, right? It's not, subject matter is irrelevant. Are you separating, pointing fingers, and having to take a side? Why are you doing that? Ask yourself why you're doing that. Is it possible there's something else that you could do or think or choose that is not at all what you've done in the past? What I'm seeing right now is people so set in what they've believed or what they've been taught or what, let's just say, they've been programmed, that no matter what's happening out here that's showing them that maybe those things aren't true at all for them, for in the highest, let's just say, loving space of compassion and a new earth where there is peace and community, when you're finding out that maybe those thoughts weren't in alignment with that, still can't let it go. That's the big decision. Can you let it go? All of it, no matter what it is. But mine is peaceful. That's okay. You can still let it go because no one makes a mistake. So even though you're choosing something peaceful, you don't have to make a judgment about it or create a story or take a side. You can still go into peace without having any story about anyone or anything, and just know you're playing out the game. You're playing out the illusion. And that everything else has a perfect divine purpose within it. So how can they be wrong? Now, when you take a side and you divide, you create, you actually entangle with and continue the conflict and separation that we have lived in. And so we continue to justify certain things. And even though we see that these things that we've been hanging on to continue the world of conflict and separation, we stay with it because it's what we know and it's right. If you can let it go, you end the attachment to the material world and the ego of a side, of a right, of a wrong, and no more judgment or pointing fingers. And it just is. It just is. And then you realize maybe everything I've thought, it's in my face showing me that there is no right nor wrong and I can let it go. And so people, a lot of times, when they believe something, they grasp it so tightly. I've heard people say that this is a flat earth. It's true for them. But if somebody proved to them that it wasn't, sometimes they're so stuck in their beliefs that they can't let it go, no matter how much they are shown that that isn't true. And by the way, I'm not picking on you. If you believe in a flat earth, I don't really care. You're allowed to do whatever you want. This is your journey. Believe what you desire. It doesn't affect me. All right? It's part of the collective consciousness, but my choice is what is most important, because my choice is what this is all about, not trying to affect your choice. I affect your choice by choosing my frequency here, because you will feel it, all right? And I do it. That's a peaceful way of affecting other people without trying to control them. That's ego, and that's the lowest form of choice. That's okay. Again, not neither right nor wrong, but very uncomfortable, not a very pleasant way to spend your time here. The big decision is, can I let go of everything I'm believing that is right or wrong and ask myself, what if? What if there is something else here? What if there's another way of looking at this? What if everything I've believed has been programmed in a way that I have created a one-sided opinion? Now, yes, we are going into elections, and yes, maybe we should all question everything. Now, I told you I wasn't going to vote. I don't want my channel to be political at all. what I decide is my own choice. But I'm asking you what you're deciding, because I have, in the past, had very strong opinions about certain things. I was an investment banker. So my world revolved around certain policies and things going on, and I realized later on that was a very screwed up world. Why would I believe any one thing that's not working for us? I stepped away from that world because I realized it was serving the one. It was serving a few. And that the majority of people were fueling that and told things so that they would put all of their trust in it. And of course, when things go south, very few benefit from it. And I saw that going on, and I realized how many people are programmed to do certain things, and it doesn't work out very well for them, because there is a group of people out there that like to control things and will put information out there to tell you this is how it is, this is programming. And what if your big decision was, I'm going to step away from all of it? All of it. Has it been working? Is it working? In other words, are we in a high frequency? Is that where I want to be? Are we not in that? Then my big decision is to release everything that I ever thought was right or wrong, or whatever, how things should be. Can I just let it completely go? I'm not telling you not to have an opinion, but most people out there I'm seeing are choosing their opinion and making somebody else wrong. And that's separation. So they're in a low frequency ego control. I'm taking a side again. Can you let it all go? You can go ahead and create your world. You can go ahead and make your choices, whether it's religion or spiritual practices or whatever else you do. If you do it on a high frequency, in other words, it is for the good of all in community and compassion without separating, taking sides, then you can still be a human being making decisions in a world that has many options without the separation. And you go into community and say, I'm going to celebrate our differences, but we don't have to go into conflict with each other to have them. The big decision is, can you let go of everything that you feel so strongly about that maybe is part of programming that you've been told, and take a deeper look into your heart and say, how am I living my life? How am I earning a living? What am I using in my home? What am I putting into my body that I'm told is good or right for me? So much is programmed. What am I doing with my money? How am I investing? How am I taking care of myself or others? We've been told our whole lives what to do. Your big decision is whether or not you can release all of it and go into a space and say, what feels right here? What feels right here? And the rest, it's irrelevant. It's what you do, your actions, what you're contributing to this planet. It's going to come down to what you're contributing. All right? It's about you. No one has power over us. No one controls us. And no matter what happens on this planet or here in the United States, it is not the be-all, end-all. We, the people, are the voice. But if we are in conflict with one another, which is the choice of the few, as long as we're arguing with each other, we are not organized, assisting one another, and going into a space of a new world that works in harmony. If we stay in that conflict and we're watching the stuff out there, then we are achieving nothing as far as our assignment here to evolve. We came into unconsciousness to know consciousness again, and to know the contrast of everything that can possibly be in a low density, so that we can know it and relish and cherish the beautiful transformation of coming out of it. You can't really appreciate that unless you've been to a lower place, right? You know, why do we get so excited about things? Because we don't have it every day. Vacations, you're not on a vacation every day. This is why so many of us here in Florida, it's like I said, sometimes we don't always appreciate things because we're not getting that contrast, right? What happens when we have contrast? We go into this great, joyful feeling of accomplishment, especially when others benefit from it. This is a big decision. Going into the knowing, you guys, if you've read the book, I talk about this, and it will expand you into a space that you realize you can let it all go, all of it. You're going to leave here at some point. You can't take it with you, and your opinions and your conflict are an energy field you're creating. It's the frequency in the energy field. The discussions are relevant. Are we going into a higher frequency of the penthouse, or are we staying down here? Because I'll tell you what, lower frequencies, they turn on each other. As long as you are in alignment with what they want, the ego wants, you're best friends. And as soon as you aren't completely in agreement, everything implodes on it. I told you guys this in another video. Negativity implodes on itself. That's because that's all it is. It's not expansion. Right? Expansion keeps going and going and going. Negativity goes into implosion. And it stays there, right? It goes into deeper, deeper, darker, darker places because nothing has limitations. So even that continues on. Don't fall into the abyss. Can you do this? Yes. You're going to have to go into your heart and ask your question. I know some of you are going to say, there's decisions I have to make in my life right now, and well, my doctor told me this, or my financial advisor told me this, or my parents told me this, or my church told me this, and you're going to tell yourself all these stories, and you're still going to believe the programming and realize, I still can believe these things, but am I doing it because I have been told this my whole life? As I told some of my students, I said, these beliefs you have, if I put you in a country completely different to here, would you believe all these things? Would you still have the same religious beliefs or political beliefs or what? No, you wouldn't. Right? It's what we're exposed to. It's what we've been conditioned to think. This is a big decision. And it starts with completely wiping out everything and just saying, what's going on here? Observe it. No stories. Don't get caught up in the media and the minutia and the arguing. Step away and observe it and say, that's conflict, that's ego. That's conflict and ego, conflict and ego. And it's going on constantly. Step back and take the action. A person who said, so we're going to hand our power over. Of course not. It's not in the physical world, my friend. Your power is right here. Nobody can take that away. Nobody can change how you think. And no matter what somebody does in the material world, no one has control over your power. We are equal power, equal powerful people. And I'll tell you why. It's only limiting if you believe it. That's how powerful you are. You can create your own limitations. Critical turning point. We're having to do it now because there's a lot going on our planet, and it's not just about politics, I'll tell you that. That's just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to be everything else. Right down to everything you put in your mouth, in your house, that you speak, that you think, all of it. The big decision. Can I release that and catch yourself? You're going to catch yourself all day. You're going to find yourself going into those separating, conflict, finger-pointing, side-taking thoughts more than you ever thought you were doing. Observe it and have fun with it. It's pretty humorous. So these are Digital Explorers is my Planet Conscious training. Come on over. We'll find out what you love. You probably don't know what it is. It's surprising my students don't know. Your passion. Oops, I don't know what it is. I said, we'll find it, and then we create entire Planet Conscious online businesses. We customize, build it around there. We have fun. It's an amazing group of students. They're exploring all kinds of things, creators, health and wellness people. We've got artists, We've got all kinds of amazing students creating businesses with the goal of profitability so that we can earn a living changing the planet in a positive way. So we're going to earn money in a very positive manner, and we're going to spend it in a positive manner. And pretty soon we won't even need monetary systems anymore. But there are those that don't want to hear that, right? You are whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. I hope you'll support my channel and any others that are not fear-based and tell you that wonderful things are happening and you can make the choices to take us into that space. If you don't, that's okay. You are eternal. But in this game, wouldn't it be fun if we went into that new world, something this planet has never known? You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.